Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you are well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more Reddit stories, and if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting that like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too, all really helps out the channel. And let's crack on with today's first story. Much love guys. Now today's first story comes from Am I the Arsehole Old Baby, who says, am I the arsehole for banning my wife from naming our baby after a dead best friend? This is a throwaway due to some personal info on this post. I don't want being linked back to my main. Long story short, my 28 male, wife 28 female, is estranged from her family and has been since a teenager. She met Eva in school and they were inseparable, with Eva letting my wife stay over a lot as well as providing a constant source of support. I met my wife at university. Unfortunately, Eva died suddenly a year into our relationship. I'd met her a few times and she was lovely. My wife was understandably devastated. 2 years ago, we married and she took my last name, Brown. Our baby girl is due in the spring and understandably, my wife wants to honor Eva in her name. This is something that she has said throughout the relationship. I was happy with the idea of honoring her and we discussed baby names throughout the relationship and pregnancy. The leading name we were tossing about was a place name that had significant memories to them. Yesterday she came up to me and said that she had a dream about Eva asking her to remember her by her name. She had something like this around the time Eva died, but none recently to my knowledge. And to memorialize her, our baby must be called Eva. I said absolutely no way. She said why not, and I reminded her of the historical figure. Now, it says Eva and it looks like Braun, B-R-A-U-M, but it's pronounced Brown, wife of probably one of history's most evil figures, and reassured her that we will tell our kids about Aunt Eva, and she'll always be remembered, but my wife refused, saying it has to be her name. She says few will make the link to the historical character, and she won't be bullied at school. She said she had fell out with a place name, and a family member had a baby recently with a similar name. Think Brooke to Brooklyn. I suggested things to do with Eva, such as her birthstone or honoring her through a middle name, or even names that had Eve and Eva in. Anything but Eva itself. She started crying and said that she won't name the baby anything else, and it's the ultimate way Eva can live on. I said it's a shitty situation, and if we had literally any other surname we would, but I literally can't. Not only am I extremely morally opposed, I work in a field where if there was wind that I named my child Eva Brown, my work could be at risk. She's saying I'm making excuses and not supporting her as she has put in a lot of effort to having this baby. This resulted in a fight, and now I'm on the couch for the second night now. Some of our friends are saying I'm dramatic, but my sister, the mother of Brooke, is telling me that if she continues to register the baby without her. To be honest, I'm leaning that way if she continues not to compromise. I'm really not sure what to do. Am I the arsehole for not wanting to name my baby Eva? And we're starting the comments with Rainbow Bright 31, who originally says, original comment, I don't think anyone would link the name, but then I'll be interested to know more about your work. I appreciate I could be wrong. Your wife being so emotional about this actually makes me think this is a bad idea. Your daughter is not a way for a woman she never met to live on. I think that's a terrible affliction for any child, to be honest. And that commenter edits the post and says, edit to change my vote from everyone sucks here to not the arsehole. Given OP's job as a history teacher and the fact that so many people did make the correlation between the names, so I stand corrected there. And on the back of that comment, that's kind of the way that I felt. Not going into the whole history of the name or anything like that, but the wife's link to the name and the way, the words where it said, it's the ultimate way Eva can live on. It just made me feel, it doesn't feel very healthy to me. Like I always say in these stories, grieve the way that you want to grieve, but do it in a healthy way. And it just kind of feels like wife needs to talk to someone in therapy about this whole situation. It's clearly got some stuff still going on and probably will for a very, very long time, if not forever. Like I say, I'm always very pragmatic about the stuff that's gone on in the past for me, but every year I still get like very, very similar dreams about the situation that I went through. It's very, very weird. It's always the same time of year, etc. But I really hope that she's going to find some kind of peace with this in the update. But MBopBop says, not the arsehole, putting the actual name aside, although I instantly made the connection and I'm not exactly a history buff, so yikes. She's the arsehole for this. It's the ultimate way Eva can live on. That's a lot of pressure to put on your unborn child. Honoring her friend is one thing. Expecting your child to be how she gets to live on is too much. Spiraling says, I'm so sorry your wife lost her best friend like that, but she absolutely should not be able to force you to name the baby anything you don't want to. I see comments on this sub all the time about 2 yes, 1 no. This is a textbook case of that. I get people saying you suck too for your reasoning, and I agree most folks in most places most of the time probably wouldn't even make, let alone care about the Hitler connection. But it just doesn't matter. I'm not comfortable with that. Should be a reason enough to move on to a different name. Full stop. Not the arsehole. No Performance says, I'm named after someone that tragically died young. It caused me significant turmoil as a small child, especially seeing pictures of this person in family albums, etc. Please share this with your wife. Feel free to follow up with questions. And I didn't even think about that side of things as well, you know, growing up knowing that you're named after someone who passed away tragically, and then seeing pictures of them and knowing that's who you was named after. That's got to be like, you know, that's got to throw you a bit, right? Access Striking says, not the arsehole. I'm quite certain everybody voting you're the arsehole is American. Every European will make the connection instantaneously. Also, many people here seem to wrongly assume that Brown is pronounced Bron. Let me assure you, it is not. It's pronounced Brown. It sounds exactly the same. If somebody had that name, I would assume that either their parents are Nazis or uneducated. If I was unfortunate enough to have been given that name, I would change it at the first opportunity. Don't put your daughter through this. On the back of someone saying, can you use your wife's maiden name? OP says, my wife is estranged from her family and was very eager to drop her maiden name. She has said that name makes her think of a horrible past. I know she would not ever change her name back, let alone name a child with it. She's also real close to my family, who took her as one of their own in when we met, due to her situation. We are UK, so yes, she could have kept the name if she wanted to. She's estranged from her family and has been for 10 years. Her family don't know where she is or of my existence. She had a common first but a distinct maiden name, so wanted to swap to my obviously rather common name. But not because she wants no ties to that name, but also so they could not find her, as they are very bad, dangerous people. This is also why we will not consider comments about swapping to her maiden name. About OP's profession and why people would know. OP says I work as a history teacher in a very liberal school, and Nazis is a decent chunk of the curriculum for some of my older students. Not that I would share my personal life in depth to the students. My colleagues in SMT would definitely ask about it. I hope to rise the ranks at this school, so I don't want to affect that. I also have a cousin who is one of my older students, so there is the risk of students and de facto parents finding out my baby's name. That way, if her friends ask. Someone says B-R-A-U-N is pronounced Brown in German, so people who know history will know. OP says yes, I am based in the UK and I teach the Nazis in my syllabus. While my German is very basic and picked up from a couple of weeks of traveling, plus some of the vocab I've come across in my job. I thought Brown was pronounced similar to ow, sound to Hauptmann. Sorry, I did look that up, but I couldn't find a non-robotic one, so if that's wrong, I do apologize. Or organ? Correct me if I'm wrong, just curious. So around 22 days later after that post, OP comes in with an update and says, hi all, it's been a while and I didn't realize I was still logged into this account. I didn't expect my Am I the Arsehole post to blow up so much, and I'd like to thank you all for your comments. It really gave me food for thought. Well, soon after posting, I called up Eva's sister, Rose, as my wife, Lou, is very close to her, and explained the situation. I know, I shouldn't get people involved in marital matters, but Rose's opinion really matters to Lou, especially when Eva is involved. Rose agreed with me that naming a daughter Eva Brown would be harmful, and she mentioned something that we believe to be a game changer. One thing you must know about the late Eva, dear reader, was that she was a writer. She kept journals, which her sister held onto after her death. In one of these journals was a baby name list, where she gave 5 names for a girl and 5 names for a boy. Rose held on to these names when she was having children. One of her sons is named the top boy name, but she is done now and wants to give it to my wife. But we believed we have to introduce this carefully, so we launched a game plan. The next day I sat down with Lou and said on no uncertain terms would our daughter would be called Eva. Brown is the only surname we have, and Eva is not something I feel comfortable pairing with it. As I mentioned in comments, my wife is estranged from her family and often jokes that we got married so young, at 22, so she could get rid of her maiden name. She agreed that our child will take our married name, but continued to stress about forgetting Eva. I also mentioned that by naming a child Eva, we'd be pressuring that child to live on for dead Eva, and that's a big burden for young shoulders. My cousin was named after a dead relative, and my grandparents often compared him to that relative, and that's not something I want for my own child. That seemed to resonate, and she admitted that pregnancy was bringing up old feelings, and she and Eva always said that they'd be pregnant together. I suggested therapy, and she started therapy last week. I then talked about mine and Rose's conversation, and she was very interested. We agreed that it would be lovely giving Eva the opportunity to name a child, knowing it was something she was seemingly passionate about, and have narrowed it down between 2 of the 5 girl names. Turns out the girl had taste. Being able to discuss baby names and thinking about our daughter as our own person has been a blessing, and I can see my wife is on the mend. I think this will be the only update, and I can't wait to meet my daughter. Thank you all for the help. Now for me, I'm always worried that, people are going to pick up on something that I missed in that update or something, but I felt that was a real beautiful update for me. Finding those journals and seeing those baby names, and I think that's a wonderful way to honor her, especially when wife in this situation is going through therapy as well to navigate her way through it. I think that's beautiful. And for OP as well, to be understanding of the situation, to reach out to others for support and talk to them, not to overwhelm the wife or anything, but just to seek that support and if he's going down the right path for this. And I totally got where he was coming from. So all I can say after this is, well done to both of you for moving on in a positive way, for looking after your health at the same time. And, congratulations. And I hope the birth and everything goes as perfect as it can be. But again, just going on the back of that, when wife was talking about, pregnancy and stuff, I can't imagine what it's like, dealing with both pregnancy hormones and juggling grief at the same time. It must throw you all over the place. Obviously, I don't know that, but I can only imagine. But now I'm going to turn this one to you guys. What do you guys make of this situation? How would you deal with it if you was OP? Do you think it was dealt with in a good way, or have you got a different opinion on the matter? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. And let's move on to another story. And this story comes from a deleted account and says, "Am I the arsehole here for getting uninvited from a wedding because I said it was doomed to fail? I ran my mouth a bit when I had too much to drink at a dinner with my wife and our friends. One of them is a bridesmaid in a wedding that we're all supposed to attend. She told the bride, and now I'm uninvited. Not my wife, just me specifically. The bride is my wife's friend, so I was always just a +1. And she's not been a fan of mine for a while for a few weird reasons. But the gist, I've been told she thinks I'm a bad influence or something because I offered her fiance cocaine once or twice. The reason I don't think I'm completely the arsehole is because the marriage legitimately is doomed to fail. The groom once told the bride that he doesn't like bigger women, and the bride is definitely in that category. Also, her family has paid for 100% of the very expensive wedding, and his family have contributed 0%. Read it, so I did apologize to my wife, which went kind of predictably badly, but she did tell me another thing about the bride, which might better illustrate my point about what she's like. So one of the bridesmaids, not the same one, looked at the hairdresser person's page on Instagram and thinks it's shit and doesn't want to use the person even though apparently the bill is like up to 10k, just for all that shit alone, and told the bride that she would get it done elsewhere and meet them. Bride then threatened to uninvite that bridesmaid from the wedding. So I ain't that unique in this scenario. Lol. Now, I can't see how you're not going to be the arsehole in this situation. I mean, you got drunk, you said that your friend's wedding is doomed to fail, and then you're surprised that you're not invited to it. You're not supportive of it in any way, but you're surprised that you're not allowed to come to it. And you're also shocked that you're a, as you say in quotes, bad influence or something because you offered the fiancé drugs. Are you really that shocked the way she's looking at you right now? I mean, come on now. But Judy McJudgeson says, wait, so you offered the groom drugs a few times and got drunk and ran your mouth about the couple, but don't think you're the arsehole. Oh, honey, you're the arsehole. You're a huge gaping arsehole. Opie responded saying, I would never have said that if I knew it'd get back to them though. That part wasn't at all intended. Judy replies to that saying, that doesn't excuse your arsehole behavior. Opie says it wouldn't be an issue if she didn't tell the bride, who doesn't occasionally say unfiltered shit sometimes. Like, who wins by feeding back some random +1's drunk opinion? That's kinda shitty in my opinion. Not that I can't admit I need to filter better, which is fair. And then says, I meant that in the sense that I didn't attend to, wouldn't want to hurt anyone's feelings over it. The roleplay throwaway says, in what way would telling someone a marriage is doomed to fail come off as anything but hurtful? Sounds like you just experienced consequences of your actions. Learn to keep stuff to yourself. Opie says hurtful to the actual couple, which is why I wouldn't have said it if I thought it would get back to them. Which I didn't think when I said it, but yes, I take your point that it wasn't appropriate to say. I've been told at length by now. And that last comment from Opie had me thinking, because in the first bit of the post they sort of say it's down to drunkenness and they slipped up, etc, etc. But in that comment they said they wouldn't have said it if I thought it would get back to them, which suggests they knew what they was talking about at that particular time. I mean, either way, it's coming down to fuck around and find out pretty much, but you can only apologize and hope for the best, but I can't see you attending this wedding. Opie then comes in with an update and says, I'm probably going to immediately regret running my mouth again by posting this, but to be honest, I really don't know how I came off here, and then links the post, because I don't think of myself as a bad person. But I've kind of just had a realization that I'm fucking everything up, so this is me trying to own it via stream of consciousness. Maybe just for myself, if no one ever reads this. This isn't an excuse, just an explanation. But having your wife's friends openly loathe you is pretty intense, and I know I shouldn't retaliate, but it gets hard sometimes to constantly hear shit from apparently perfect people with perfect lives. The wedding was on Saturday, and when my wife got home, she came in looking for a fight and escalated since I wasn't fully on the level. Showed me a pic of the groom crying when the bride walked down the aisle and passive-aggressively mentioned how I didn't during our wedding. Said it's hilarious that I would feel able to comment on her friend's weight before reacquainting myself with the fucking peloton, etc, etc. Can't remember them all, but a series of below-the-belt shit. So now I got to stay in a hotel for a few nights until she decides that she's ready to have a real conversation, which I gather is possibly dire. So yeah, I fucked up worse than I thought. Maybe I don't really know how I'm gonna fix it. Edit. So this is me apologizing for being an arsehole is the headline. So Mild Griller asked COP before the account was deleted, did you ever apologize to either the bride or your wife? Or are you just a good person who is misunderstood and everyone else is being mean, overreacting, they actually deserved it because they suck? OP says, yeah, I did, but they're both obviously going to want more than me just saying sorry, which I get. Oh, dearie me. But now I'm going to turn this one to you guys. What do you guys make of this situation? Just a huge thank you from the bottom of my heart for getting involved in today's stories. Your love, your support, your time always means the absolute world to me. So thank you so much for being involved. Truly, it's absolutely amazing. Thank you. Thank you. And don't forget, at the very end, there'll be a couple of playlists that you can click on. It will automatically scroll through all the videos for you. So whatever you're up to, doing a bit of crochet, bit of running, bit of gardening, bit of trucking, beep, beep. Don't know where that come from. It will continue to play the videos for you. And I'll see you in the next one. Much love.